Well, hello everyone and welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Today we are going to be making cake. And I'm not talking about just standard Minecraft cake here, even though Minecraft cake is super yummy. I mean, it's not too sweet and the icing is super duper creamy. But we are definitely going to be using this particular cake as an inspiration for what we are going to be building. So where, might you ask, are we going to be making this fabulous cake? Well, it's going to be right here around our sugarcane farm. So this is one of the first farms that I built here in Circle City, but I just never got around to putting a building around it, mostly because I just couldn't decide what I wanted, and going back and forth between different ideas in my head about, do I do a serious building, do I do something fun and whimsical, blah blah blah. I don't know, but I think I finally decided that we are definitely going to go whimsical and kind of on the fun side and just make it a cake. So I worked really hard in coming up with a design for a cake that I really liked and that also kind of retained the impression of being a building as opposed to just, a giant cake. So I've done a lot of sugarcane farms in the past, and I've always done like the configurations of them different pretty much every time that I've built one, just because I'm always looking for a way to optimize and to make it compact. So I came up with this configuration this time, and I kind of really like it. So instead of having like the observers kind of facing each other with the sugarcane plants in between, I just kind of offset them this way. And I believe that the reason that I did that was so that I could have one splotch of water and then three plants around it without having to have like water underneath kind of where the pistons are, which is what I typically did in the past. I have this one for some reason didn't fire. I'm gonna break that one. I don't know how long that's been like that. It's kind of weird. I don't think any of the other ones have been caught up like that. I'm gonna take a look real quick. Yeah, so I'm glad that I came up here and looked, because it seemed like I have a lot of these that haven't triggered properly for whatever reason. It's probably just has to do with a proximity thing in my world. So I'll just have to come up here every once in a while and just see that they're all working. I know it's not like a flaw with the design of the farm or anything like that. And before we start building, there is something that I would like to test out really quick. So I am going to grow a giant mushroom. Of course, it's got to grow tall just because I want a short one right now. And the reason I want to grow a giant mushroom is because I am very interested in this block right here. The mushroom block. But specifically this pattern. And the problem with that pattern is that you cannot get it. See, if you do this and you use in Silk Touch and you collect your block, when you put it down, it's just going to look like a mushroom block all the way around. So what I want to do is to see if it's possible to push these blocks with pistons, if they will retain this texture if I use a piston to push it. I knew that was going to go that way. So let's test this and see what happens. Haha. It works. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so the good news about that is it's going to make our building a little bit more interesting. The bad news about it is it's going to make it a lot more complicated, but I think I'm up for the task. Okay, so on with the building. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is just build a little platform for our cake to sit on. And to do that, I'm just gonna use some diorite steps. Okay, so I went all the way around, and now I'm gonna put an upside down the step on top of those. So got all the platform in, and now it is time to start our actual cake part. So come in here, I'm gonna add a fake block, and I'm gonna start up with some oak here. I'm gonna come up 5 on this guy. And I'm gonna drag him over to this way. We're gonna put another one up here. And then we're just gonna strip all of these. And come over on this side. And I'm gonna do almost the same thing, just a little bit different. Use birch for the top 2 on this one. And I'm only gonna bring this one over 1. And then once again, we're gonna strip all of these. Next up, I'm gonna fill everything else in with birch. So that's the base of the cake part, and now we're going to add some frosting. One and 2. Okay, so now we have our basic form of our cake, but it's time to make it a little bit more interesting by adding a few variations to it. So we're gonna get cracking on adding a little bit of detail in here to make it look extra special. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just add some birch planks in here, because that's gonna give it back that human element of this is a building and not like a real cake. And the next thing I'm gonna do is add some variation to our frosting. So I'm gonna replace some of these blocks with a white wool. Up above this one. So there's our frosting with just a little bit of texture added in. And next I'm going to add in just a couple of pillar quartz blocks to give it that human element. And I'll put these in sideways so that the stripes go horizontal as opposed to vertical. Yep, so just a smattering of quartz blocks in there. And then our final step on the frosting is going to be to add some berries. So for that, we're just going to use our red mushroom blocks. And that's going to liven it up quite a bit. Okay, so that is our frosting completed, at least for this side. And I really do like the way that that looks. That is pretty nifty, if I do say so myself. So next thing is just going to be adding that last variation of the mushroom blocks, which I believe that they're called like mushroom spore blocks. So first thing that I'm going to do for that is I'm just going to cut out the blocks where I want them to go. And then I'm just going to have to grow a mushroom out here and have fun pushing blocks around. So of course I grew a really, really tall mushroom, but that's okay. Alright, perfect. But I do think I'm gonna try to grow a shorter mushroom. There, that's a lot better. Okay, so I got all the mushroom blocks pushed in by the way of using pistons. And as tedious as a process as that was, I have to say that I quite enjoyed doing it. I kind of tend to enjoy tedious tasks for some reason. But I really do like the way that it looks. I mean, because I think that adding the mushroom block in there just kind of breaks up the striped pattern that happens because of the stripped wood. And it also just adds one more piece of texture to keep the cake from looking so monotone. So I am really happy with that. So, of course, I have 3 more sides that I have to deal with. So I'm going to be a busy girl. So I'm going to keep at this process. And I'll come back to you either when I'm done or at least gotten 2 sides done. Because it is kind of a lengthy process to push all these mushroom blocks around. And maybe I'll get lazy and I won't use quite so many on the other sides since you're not going to be looking at these sides so much. But I'm not really into that sort of laziness. So I'm just going to keep working. And after many hours of mushroom pushing and many more interruptions, we finally have cake. So I got everything done. All the sides are completed all the way around. And I think it looks absolutely fabulous. I couldn't be happier. And I think it looks absolutely fabulous. I'm really glad that I decided to go with a fun build as opposed to like a serious build. Because in all of my planning, I had like many different things where I was trying to do like a serious build with like a little cake inside of it. I even tried doing a cookie, but the cookie didn't work out. But this I think looks really good. The only thing that I think might help it is to add maybe a door here. But that's something I'll have to think about. And then I didn't do anything with the floor inside yet. I mean, being that it's just a factory, I don't really do like special floor designs for the factories. So I'll probably just come in and do like a basic block in here. Maybe I'll just put like more diorite along the floor or something. You know, nothing special or fancy there. But a couple of things that I did notice. Since I was in this area, I was really monitoring the bamboo farm as I was building this. And I've come to the realization that this bamboo farm is not going to be efficient enough to keep up with the amount of sticks that we need for the kelp farm. And also, the minecart unloader is still rather inconsistent, so I don't think that there's anything that I could possibly do to make it 100% efficient. And I do want to point out that the unloader design that I went with is an older model. So that's just some stuff that I need to think about for the future. If I'm really worried about having, you know, enough sticks, if I want to make this farm bigger, or if I just want to, you know, take what I can get and fill the rest on my own, you know. But overall, it's not something that I want to be concerned about too much at the moment. So back to the cake for a minute. So I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I learned about like pushing the mushroom blocks, so that if you yourself were considering doing this sort of build in your world. So first thing, it's really important to just decide where you want your mushroom blocks in before you start pushing them around. Because once you've got them in, like say you decided that, oh, I shouldn't have put this mushroom block here, I'd rather have it here, you're going to kind of have a mess of like trying to figure out how to move that. Like, do you want to do a pusher here, or do you want to just remove this one and then start with a whole new mushroom block to move it? So, like I said, if you want to do something like this, it's really important that you first decide where exactly you want your mushroom blocks to go. And the next little pointer that I have is to just move like a solid row of your mushroom blocks at a time. And just, because like I built a mushroom, I planted a mushroom here, and then I pushed like the entire row of mushroom blocks at a time over and got them positioned, where I wanted them in the rows before I started moving them down and then in. So just a couple little pointers there. So with our yummy cake build all completed, I think it's safe to say that we can wrap this episode up, and I am really happy that I finally have a building around my sugarcane farm, because it has been way too long being just a farm without a building. And I'm also glad that I did take time to decide what I really wanted around it, as opposed to just, throwing something up there to cover it without being sure of what I really, really wanted to do. And as always, I just want to thank you for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.